Met have been making bike helmets for 30 years. In fact, last year they celebrated that very anniversary, and with it came the release of a brand new helmet. You could say it was a culmination, really, of all those years spent in the business. Their aim was to make the holy grail of bike helmets, so light, well ventilated, and aero. The result was the Trenta, and it's inside this box. You want to see it? I know you do, but this being a GCN unboxing, I first need to inform you that we've got one to give away. Actually, we don't have one to give away, we've got 5, and I will give you details on how to enter a little bit later on. First though, I think it's time to take a closer look at the Met Trenta 3K, to give it its full name. That, my friends, is a rather good looking helmet. And there is the carbon fibre, although it's not as though you have to exactly look hard for it because it's all over the helmet. Met call it their 3K carbon technology, 3K referring to the weave. The carbon cage is embedded into the helmet, the idea being that carbon's properties, i.e. its elasticity and stiffness, allow them to reduce the density and thickness of the EPS foam. This in turn helps them to make this helmet a lot lighter, and I think also combine to make a very nice low profile. No mushroom head syndrome going on with this thing. How light? Well, I'm very glad you asked. This medium size tips the scales at 215 grams. So that's the first box ticked. So what then about the ventilation? Well, as is very plain to see, this helmet possesses a lot of vents, 19 to be precise. And some of them are pretty big, including those at the front here, and also those at the other end. Not very scientific though, I will grant you. What then if I tell you that this helmet harnesses the Venturi effect, something I was talking about only a couple of weeks ago? To remind you, and frankly myself as well, the principle of the Venturi effect is that as air volume decreases, air velocity increases. So air is drawn in through these rather large vents at the front and the top. It's then drawn over your head and out of the rear of the helmet, thus taking away all of the hot air from the top of your head. That is another box ticked. Which leaves us with aerodynamics. Met say that this helmet is 7% faster than a benchmark helmet at 45 kilometers per hour. And further than that, they say that this helmet is as fast and as aero as a full aero helmet at 60 km per hour on the drops. Perfect for the sprinters out there. How exactly they've achieved this, they've kept a closely guarded secret, but I think if we take a closer look, we can probably get some clues. In fact, for the first point, we don't even need to take a closer look. I've already mentioned that this helmet has a very low profile, and a smaller helmet is definitely an aerodynamic advantage. Smaller helmets need to displace less air, so you go faster. The next key section is this part at the rear, which really comes into play when you're down on the drops and really tucking in. For starters, it is very smooth, but the really important part is how it transitions that air from the top down to behind the helmet. You see, any turbulence here is effectively slowing you down. Met call it the rear deflector, and it is inclined at an angle of 25 degrees, which if you have remembered your aerodynamic lessons from a previous video, you will know is a very important number. And then if we turn it so you can see the back, you will notice those enormous exhausts. They firstly combine with the NACA vent here at the top to drive airflow through the helmet, but secondly, they help to smooth that transition of air. That is the third box ticked. All that leaves us with then is the not so trifling matter of safety. This helmet of course meets all of your usual safety standards, but on top of that, inside here is a rather neat retention system. It is called the Safety Orbital Fit System. It surrounds your head and also offers further degrees of adjustment, including 4 steps vertically and 2 occipitally. And then another very neat feature is this dedicated light. It clips onto the aforementioned retention system here at the rear, weighs just 15 grams, offers full charge, which you can do via USB. It will last for 6 hours on flashing mode, and inside there are 6 LEDs, which is pretty cool. Right, that is pretty much all bases covered. One thing I haven't mentioned yet though are the colours and their availability. Firstly, you can get this helmet in a 30th edition special tricolor. There's also a black version, and then there's this one, which we've had in this video. And I, for one, like the look of them. I know aesthetics is all down to personal opinion, but who doesn't love a carbon weave? And who doesn't love trying to win something? Now, you've been waiting patiently for me to let you know how you put yourself in with a chance of winning one of the 5 helmets. Many of you will know what I'm about to say. All you've got to do is click on the link, which is in the description below this video. Good luck with that. If you've enjoyed this video, you can always give us a thumbs up down below. Make sure you subscribe by clicking on the globe. And if you haven't yet seen the latest edition of the GCN Tech Show, it is just over here.